Well, first of all, I just wanted to say it's lovely to be here. I think we're quite privileged to come here today and just listen to what's happening within, the world of social workers. So I'm Amelia Chitenhe. I'm the matron for international recruitment for NHFT. I've got a couple of other hats that I wear in the trust, which are probably not too relevant at the moment, so I won't discuss. However, I just wanted to tell you just a little bit about my background. So actually, I was born in Zimbabwe. I've had the privilege of, living on 3 different continents. I was born in Zimbabwe, came here when I was 18, lived here for 9 years, went to Australia for 7 years, and came back to England, and I've been back here for 6 years. Oh, actually 7 now, actually, to be precise. So I just wanted to take the privilege now to introduce the international recruitment team, the lovely team that I work with. I'll probably start off with Kelly. So that's obviously pictures of us and what we do in our roles within NHFT. But I think I'll let each and every one of them introduce themselves, I think, and just sort of they can tell you where they're from and etc. Kelly, do you want to go first?
Hi everyone, my name is Kelly Coles. I'm the practice development lead nurse for the team, and I've been in the team since we kind of began, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And my role in the team is to support our internationally educated nurses once they're here, well, from the start really of onboarding, but then ensuring that they have a good integration to the wards and the areas that they go into, and then onto their further development really. Where is it they want to go to? What is it they want to be doing? So I'm kind of here, and I'm supported by everybody in the team, and we all have a different role to play. So I'll hand over to the next person.
Hi everyone, my name is Kadir. I'm one of the practice development nurse. I've joined the team a year and 4 months. My background, I haven't born here, but I did my qualification for nursing here in London. And I work as an acute nurse. Then I become district nurses for almost few years. Then I went for education part. So I work with a team, support our international nurses and help them to develop their potential, and as well training for OSCE. And of course, follow them all the way through until, of course, they want to leave. And I work as well, not alone. I work with Namisa.
So my name is Namita James. Basically, I'm an internationally qualified nurse who was recruited in 2017. And when I was recruited, I was working in the hospital in the acute ward. Then I joined as a practice development nurse. So as Heba said, we are supporting the internationally recruited nurses to achieve their PIN number here, and also to work clinically, and to say in a nutshell, we are supporting them holistically. Yeah.
Hello everyone, my name is Darren. I'm Nigerian and I'm Irish. So happy St. Patrick's Day to you guys, because it's the day. I'm here as part of the team, and I'm the pastoral support facilitator for the international educated nurses. So we know that coming into a new environment, a new country can be daunting for them. So once they step into the country, we try to make them settle in, with the onboarding process, even before they arrive. So that's kind of thing that I do, and I do this together with Cam.
Hi, I'm Cam, and I'm pastoral support, working within the team. My task really is to work within the team, support the nurses and their families in terms of settling in, finding accommodation, and any wider needs which arise from there. Okay, thank you.
Fantastic. So that's our introductions done. But I just wanted to say as well, I marveled actually really when I was listening to all the speakers earlier, because it looks like the issues that were talked about are mirroring exactly what's happening in the NHS. So something must not be right somewhere. But the good thing is we're talking about it. We're sharing practical suggestions. and insights on how we can move on to, towards equity, and also how we can move on towards supporting diaspora staff. So just wanted to give you a quick overview of what governs us as NHF team members of staff working within the organisation. So our vision is to be a leading provider of outstanding compassionate care. We've got our roadmap there. I'm not going to go into great detail, but you can look it up online and you can have a read. We've got our pride values and we've got our leadership behaviours which govern what we do. Part of it is, being authentic, embracing change, taking responsibility, and working together, being part of our leadership behaviours. But I won't go into that because we want to talk more about the pastoral support, obviously, that we give, and for you to get an understanding of what we've done, in our journey, and to share, how we managed to get the pastoral award. Next slide, thank you. And I think David touched a little bit about the people promise from NHS England. So what it is really is it's a promise that we must all make to each other about working together to improve the experiences of those working in the NHS, and it's for everyone. So that's something you can also look up as well, obviously, if you're interested to know a bit more about the people promise. Next slide, please. The NHS, I think they pledged to tackle the nursing challenge by recruiting 40,000 nurses. But I believe from the last meeting that we had with NHS England, they did actually over-recruit to that number. So there's quite a large number of nurses that are within the NHS as we speak. So it's 40,000 plus, really. And why international recruitment? Well, as we all know, that there's not enough nurses. If we could knit more, we would knit more, but unfortunately we can't. So we have to recruit internationally, because trying to train nurses domestically, obviously, as we know, it takes 3 years. And in the short term, we still need skilled nurses to be able to work. So why not bring in staff from international, from other countries who can also support us in being an addition to the workforce, and they can bring in their knowledge and their skills, which has been of great benefit to the NHS as we speak. So next slide, Kelly's going to talk about that. So I'll move over and.
While you're handing on, I should say, Amelia, that I did say that NHFT is one of the few trusts which CQC has charged outstanding as a mental health. As a mental health and community services provider trust. And I'm very proud to be a part of it, or happily made a very small contribution. But they achieved that because it is transparent that their management is effective and humane. And I have a very high regard for Angela Hillary and the chair of the trust. Interestingly, both are women. I don't know whether that says something about where the values come from, but it is transparent in the organisation when you talk to people anywhere, how the values that you started off with are applied and do operate. So it's in the context of an outstanding trust that you're doing this work. Thank you.
Thank you, David. So we started our journey, as David said, we are a mental health community trust, so quite relatively small in the health partnerships within Northamptonshire. So we, in 2020, around about October 2020, started to look at collaborating with the acute trusts in our area. They had been doing international recruitment for quite some time, so they had quite a lot of experience around it, and it was very new to us. And actually around that time, it was very new to a lot of community mental health trusts. So we started off as a team of 3. Very early days. So that was me, Darren, and another member of staff. And the acute hospital, so Chitenhe General Hospital, was our lead recruiter in the collaboration. So they would do a lot of the recruiting side of things for that part. This is just a quick slide you can't see because I need to do this one, sorry. When we first started in our commitment for 2021, our intentions was only to bring in 12 internationally educated nurses, and that's because of the kind of trust we are. We wasn't sure whether it was going to work, whether it wasn't going to work. So we started really small with 12, which we then did increase to 16 nurses. And this just gives us an oversight of how many nurses we're bringing in a cohort, because unlike our big trusts, Chitenhe and Northampton, they were bringing in sort of 20, 40 nurses per cohort, which are really big numbers when you want to give great pastoral care. And so I think it's just important to show that we were only bringing 3 nurses, 4 nurses. Has that one gone on?
Yeah.
Yep. So going forward, it was successful. Our pilot year was successful. So we then done a commitment of a very large commitment of 40 nurses. So we've gone from 12 straight up to 40. And we wanted to dip our feet into bringing in mental health nurses as well, because our pilot was focusing on adult trained nurses. And as a mental health trust, we felt that our vacancies were in the mental health areas. So we would bring in 20 adult nurses plus 20 mental health nurses. And during this commitment also, our team did grow. We became a team of 6, which is really fundamental to the team. So over to Darren.
Yeah. So the pastoral award. Now, part of and David had talked about winning an award. So it's the NHS Pastoral Care Quality Award that a lot of trusts within the UK had to meet some criteria to actually win. And as a young trust at the time, we thought we could do this. Yeah. And then we started off. What were the criteria? It had to do with them getting the onboarding and induction training done right, making sure they get their OSCE. OSCE is the exams that they have to take, to get their license to practice within the country, making sure that we are like 100%, getting things done right. And yeah, we were young, but we applied for it and we actually got it. Okay, so part of the things that we had to do, part of the onboarding and the induction, was to actually undergo a bespoke induction session for them, a pastoral induction session in particular, because the trust has its own corporate induction. But, like everyone has been talking about culture, coming from another place, what entails here in the UK is totally different. So there was that bit of aligned onboarding that needed to be done, where we're putting into consideration where they're coming from and the changes that they have to adapt to. So some of the things that we provided for them are the IELTS, having to pay for their IELTS exams, which they had taken before they got here. They had to go, they had to have passed their CBT exams before coming in here. So that was paid for. So these are some of the perks, that would encourage one to come into the UK to work. So we paid for their visas, their flights, their NMC registration, which they had to do some at the beginning and then some later. And then we also provided 8 weeks accommodation for them with grocery and food shopping for them even before they arrived. And we didn't just shop anything. We gave them the option to select what they would want. And they actually, so that was what was done at that point in time. So before they arrive, we actually communicate with them because that's important. So at the beginning, we do like a virtual meeting for them where they get to meet the team before they arrive, because yes, they probably would have met some of them during interview and all that. But by the time they have now been offered the job, they now get to have a virtual meeting to meet them and to put a name to faces. During their arrivals, we meet them. We actually organize their transportation straight from the airport to their accommodation, so they feel welcome. There's something about having that warm welcome when you come to a new country. You don't feel lost. And then the pastoral team, which makes Cam and I are part of, and of course together with the whole team, because it's not just one thing. It has to do with their being settled within the trust, being settled in their ward areas, you know, is an holistic thing. And then we provide laptops for them to undergo training, because they had to do some mandatory trainings when they're coming first, and then welcome them to let them know their ward areas where they're going to be working, providing the ward areas with a pack, which was something new, and I think is important. That the pack had to do contains information about the nurse that is coming to that service area. They have a picture, they have their likes, they have their dislikes, so they have an idea who's coming on, you know, and you know, we also provide that. So apart from all of that, you know, they come in, they have their accommodation sorted, they have their exams passed, and then they want to move on to the next phase, because some of them now want to bring in their families, and that's where Camp Specialty comes in, because they need further on accommodation. I'll let Camp talk about it.
Okay, so they arrive, don't know much about the locality. They've gone through quite a lot anyway. So once they've allocated the service areas, within the team, obviously me and Dan work with them to sort of find them accommodation. And so often, initially it might be just themselves or families coming. So as you know, accommodation being quite challenging. We just set it out, listen to their concerns, and then I work, well, the team within the areas they're going with local agents and investors to try and secure accommodation for them. So that ranges from HMOs to their own houses. And again, we provide obviously the assistance with charities furnishing their homes as well. As they move on their journey, their needs become greater. So buying cars, asking advice, domestic issues. I'd say within the team, we sort of cover those issues anyway. But it's changing. It's not just one size fits all. Each one is individual, and we tailor the support to meet their needs. So that's.
Thank you, Cam. So we're just going to talk a little bit about OSCE, because OSCE was part of the Pastoral Awards. So Namitha and Heba.
The OSCE is really a short form. It's Objective Structured Clinical Examination. So when we recruit nurses, these nurses have to attend a computer-based theory exam from their home country. And when they come here, they have to attend a practical exam. Then only they can complete the registration with NMC. So we usually go 4 to 5 weeks of training before they are sent to the wards. So, and for this OSCE exam has certain rules with the Home Office. Actually, when a candidate arrives, this first sitting, actually we have 3 sittings for OSCE. The first sitting should be within the 12 weeks of their date of arrival. And suppose if they don't pass in their first attempt, they have 2 more attempts. And if they fail in the 3 attempts, of course, their registration closes with NMC. They have to go back to the country and they need to restart their process after 6 months. Luckily, we don't have such candidates in our trust. We are 100% pass rates. So, and once this OSCE is completed, we will send them to their respected wards where they are allocated. And now Heba will say about it.
So as well, in our trust, we do adult and mental health. So at the moment, we're recruiting lots of mental health cohorts. So after we finish the OSCE, me and Namitha, we start as well, like become like a mentor and coachee to them. So we follow them after they pass OSCE, mainly first attempt. I think only 2 nurses did second attempt for maybe very small mistakes, like with the timing or so. So we follow them, support them clinically. So we have a good relationship with service managers and ward managers. So of course, after being allocated to the ward, we follow them to see if any concern, any problem. So we have developed this pack for the competencies. So at the moment, we have it only for mental health. So collected all the competencies from different types of mental health, with that in one pack, and we follow that. So if the nurse has been taught, the competencies has been signed, and that makes us sure as well that they have been taking the care they need or the training they need. So we give them 12 weeks supernumerary. So some nurses will complete it after that, you don't have to extend it, and some people even do it before finish the 12 weeks. That depends if they are proactive or not. So if any concern happen during this time, we've always been there. So we've always been contacted them, or just me, everyone actually, to make sure are okay, the family are okay, as a holistic really. And if any problem, any concern, we visit the ward physically maybe once every month to make sure everything is okay, just to see physically. However, during this time, we always contacting the manager, contacting them and see exactly what happened. So we have as well as 1 year, 1 year our trust, we have something called preceptorship. So everyone, our trust has to complete this one within a year. So our international nurses as well follow among this one. So we got like 7 days, and it has to be done during 1 year. So 4 of them can be done before 6 months, and the rest will be done after 6 months. And then of course will follow us like some record keeping, confidentiality, to follow the trust guides, what actually we expect our international nurses to follow, to have to complete like NMC guideline regulation. And that's it, is it?
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
And we have as well something else for development, and I will leave Kelly to continue that.
Thank you, guys. Okay, so moving on, so they've been in the ward for their 1 year preceptorship. Some of them may finish their preceptorship before that, but we give them the year. And they want to start to develop themselves, and we're trying to ensure that we are getting that development for them. So just a snapshot that 13 of our nurses have completed a levelling up course. Now, a levelling up course is something that we've done in collaboration again with Northampton General Hospital. So it's an in-house kind of training session, and that's just to look at their career progression, identifying those goals, looking at psychological safety, looking at imposter syndrome, the different things that internationally educated nurses are probably facing and thinking. So we've had 13 nurses complete that. We've had one of our nurses complete a moving up programme with Skills for Life. And 2 of our nurses have completed a Florence Nightingale Award. And the Florence Nightingale Award is able to look at that personal impact and improving that confidence to speak up, because some of our nurses find that really difficult to be able to have that voice, and we want to empower them to have that voice. We do have 20 more of our nurses due to complete that this year, and we really believe in supporting them to do so. One of our proudest things is one of our adult nurses from 2021 has just gone on to secure a band 6 secondment role in our infection control team. So we are really proud of her for doing that.
Can you just explain band 6?
Band 6, yeah, so it's a specialist nurse role. So she was working on one of our community rehabilitation units. She had experience of an infection control nurse in her own country, and fortunately there was a position come up in the team as a specialist nurse, and we really encouraged her to go for that role. She'd been on our levelling up course and looked at interviewing techniques, CV writing, those sorts of things, and as a team we was also able to support her for preparation of that interview, because she had the skills, she has the experience, but sometimes probably lacks of how to put that down on paper to apply for a role. So again, that's where our team are really important to support that development.
Sorry, can I just add something to that banding bit?
Yes.
I know the banding in the NHS, even when I first started, I was like, somebody would just come and say, oh, I'm a band 6, I'm a band 7. What does that even mean? You know, so when a nurse, let me use a nurse graduates, they start with the NHS, they start on band 5. So that's the starting level and salary for a new starter. So this nurse, and then when our nurses come, they start off first as band 4, but by the time they pass their OSCE, they go on to band 5. So this particular nurse, within a short period, had moved up a level higher, which is the band 6. So just to
clarify, what is the Florence Nightingale Award?
So this is a national award, leadership course.
You asked them to do it in the first year.
No.
After.
So they need to have completed 12 months within the organisation. So when they finish their preceptorship, which is they're getting together all their competencies, and when they finish that year, then we encourage them to go and do the leadership program, which is what the Florence Nightingale Award. So it then starts preparing them for them to start taking leadership positions and higher positions and higher roles within the organisation. Only because some majority of them are more than 8 years, because when we recruit them, majority of them have got 10, 8 years experience, and they're running hospitals in their countries of origin. So when they come here, it's more, this is why we focus a lot on their integration and their onboarding. We make it as robust as possible, and we encourage the wards to support them as much as possible, because when they do that and they put in a lot into them, they will get out of them what they've put in. And you find that majority of them actually can perform to very senior levels. And so, why not? And a majority of them are performing really, really well.
And the Florence Nightingale, to echo what Amelia said, it is to give them that confidence and that understanding that they can progress their career. They've got that experience. It's just sometimes making them aware that they are. Like the nurse who's got the secondment, she kind of knew she wanted to do it, but didn't really believe that she could do it. But she can do it, and she's proven that she can. So,
and sometimes what happens is with, I think Kelly talked about the imposter syndrome. What happens as well is when they come over, sometimes some of the struggles they go through, racism, discrimination, they really can sometimes hamper someone's confidence, that they can actually, and we all know what happens, once you've gone through that cycle of being, discriminated and gone through racism, you're sometimes almost left without any hope that you can achieve anything. So this then gives them that confidence to say, actually, you can actually, progress on to the next level. And we try and encourage them to do that and to give them the tools to do that.
Are you going on to talk about retention?
Yes, we are.
We are, Sorry.
Someone want to have a question?
Also,
Yeah, sure.
I think it just maybe a point of comment in terms of what you guys are doing to say after a year, give people opportunities is good, because I think for local authorities, as the social worker was put from our board, something that local authorities also need to work on, because sometimes people are waiting for 4 or 5 years until they are promoted to the next level. I was one of the fortunate ones, because there was the service manager who identified me, and I've done practice education. Right now I can assist students and all that, but sometimes it's painful watching yourself only progressing while your other colleagues are not progressing. So people have stayed 4 or 5 years, not in progression, they're staying at that social work level, but people with district heads were doing this managerial positions. So I think it's good practice that maybe as local authorities we can adopt these steps of making sure that social workers also, because it does still your confidence, like you start doubting yourself as well. So I think it's one of the, if I'm going to provide feedback, it's something that I'll just say, it's something that we can do in terms of impressing the social workers in as well.
The thing is, our international nurses are already coming with masters. So when they are coming, like the same. So when they come over here, they want development. And our trusts are really good trust, not because I'm raising my trust, but they are really looking at development for everyone there. So with this 1 year, we'll try to make the nurses having the steps or foundation, checking like the guidance and the policy. And anyone interesting to move up, we are here to help. And some people don't even want to progress, it's fine. But of course, while we're there, okay, we have some training. We get even in our trust some free training. It's no problem. So
so we've got a couple of videos that we're going to show you from some of our nurses that have
Just thinking of the time, So it's just a minute. This is one, the left-hand writing, that's from one of our other nurses that's been with us for some time. But this is Lamek, and he's literally been with us for 3 months, and he wanted to do a little video. So let's try and.
So Lamek is from Kenya.
My name is Naslamek Angote Mutanda. I'm an internationally educated nurse from Kenya, and I'm currently with an HFT working as a mental health nurse based at
Specifically, this is an example in Chitenhe, because the team are very supportive. One thing I love about that patient I remember even before I even in the UK, concerning and I transferred really bad in the fall, and actually psychologically almost to expect once I learned in the UK. And during my level again, they're always doing that in me, make sure that I'm okay, comfortable. Right now with the work, they constantly check up on me, making sure that I'm okay, where that I'm settling very well in the job. And I remember during my hospital operation, again, they were very supportive. I really had a very fantastic team, very good trainers. So who helped me really master positive and quickly. And with the help and support, I was able to pass my first case with the first attempt. And I'm forever grateful to that team. And maybe last but not least, I can say the team is very easy to approach. At any point, at any time, you can just send them an email and then to you as soon as possible. So I'm really thankful to this team for making my transition very smooth. I'm really looking forward to staying in this church. Best trust. Thank you so much.
Bless him. We do have two more, but I'm thinking of time. Are we able to share the slides? Yeah, is that okay? Because we've got two of our other nurses on, but I'm just thinking of time, and they give a really good account as well. So we'll share it. Yeah. I'm just thinking Amelia needs to go on to the next. Perhaps come back.
Okay, so the next bit that we're going to go on to very quickly is first attempt in learning, some of the challenges that we experience. So it's not all been roses, as you can obviously imagine. So sometimes we do encounter, really difficult inductions where when you have given information to members of staff about how they need to follow through, maybe not bring their families in, and then they do the opposite. Sometimes we also face challenges around, staff not being able to be courageous enough to speak up and say things, which is really, really a challenge as well. Finding advocates on the wards for our nurses, so allies, as you'd like to call them, can be quite a challenge as well, because in terms of cultural competence, it's not, so we are quite a white organization, if you'd like to call us that. And sometimes it's really, really difficult to get people to understand, that they also need to look at how they can actually educate themselves, to understand people from different backgrounds and from different cultures. There's also issues around, holistic support. There's also things like future planning, finances, family. These are some of the challenges that people are facing at the moment. Financial challenges are a bit of an issue, I think, as we all know. I can't say enough about the global economic crisis that we're all experiencing. It's a challenge for our nurses that then come overseas and then they come here. Accommodation is quite expensive, and then they also want to bring their families over. So that can be a challenge as well. Sometimes they get pregnant whilst they're in their supernumerary period. Where they know that, by the time they actually get to the point where they need to go on maternity leave, they're not entitled to a penny. So those are some of the things that we've been facing, the challenges we've been facing. Okay, how are we going to support them as a team? So we need to think so far in advance as to what we're going to do in terms of that. Racism. I can't, say much of that at all. I think we've heard enough of it this afternoon. Yeah. So I mean, look, we also had challenges around national domestic abuse concerns that were raised, and I think there was little pockets within subtle things, not heavy concerns, but because it was a national concern around domestic violence, we ended up actually, doing courses and things to support our nurses and to encourage them to report any issues around domestic abuse, and equipping them as well with information on how, they can be supported around domestic abuse. So there's a lot of things that we put in place to help us with some of the challenges. We had we adapted a manager's handbook for our managers for them to get to understand how to support their nurses. We also created a handbook as well for them, how they can look after and support their internationally educated nurse that's on the ward. We also held feedback sessions. It's so important that when nurses first arrive to ensure that we're given an opportunity to talk about their expectations, and then halfway through or a year later, get them to come back again and talk to us about, so what have they found, what have been their experiences, because that's really important, because it will tell us a lot about how they feel. It's really important that they are given an opportunity to speak up. Apart from giving them information, of course, around our support networks and things like freedom to speak up, but we actually have held sessions, face-to-face sessions, where we've given them an opportunity to be open and honest about their experiences, which has been quite helpful for us. Next slide, please.
I think as well, like the more you have developed this kind of relationship between you and nurses, you'll be able to actually advocate, able to talk to you about any concern. If you don't have this relationship, no one will talk. And anyone coming from maybe from mainly like Africa or Asian, the culture, they don't speak up. They keep it in. Let's on with that, because I don't want to make trouble. I don't want to be like the troublemaker. But of course, we have this kind of relationship, like, you know, more like friendship as well. So they are able to talk and talk about any concern for them.
Yeah. So in terms of retention, so for us to be able to you know, deliver all what we've done, you know, holistic pastoral care, we've actually managed to retain the nurses that have been recruited since 2021. So our retention currently sits at 97%. So from 2021 until now, 2024, our retention is 97%, which is actually quite a good number. And we're anticipating that, you know, this will continue to be the same, and will continue to increase and go to greater heights in terms of retention. But the feedback that we've had from our nurses are they feel valued, they have a sense of belonging, and also we've signposted them to our staff networks, who've been very supportive of them and supporting them. And we've, you know, had buddies as well that they've buddied up with. We've made sure that we've paired them up with somebody that can support them throughout their journey, especially right at the beginning when they've just come into the country and they need that support. Next slide, please. Is that the last one? Yeah. I think that's so this is our last slide. So anyway, plan for the future. Well, we're going to continue to recruit internationally because we are still growing our staff. We still need to increase our workforce. We've still got a couple of vacancies that need filling. But we're also thinking of growing our own. There is a lot of, you know, people within the UK who are trained back in their home countries as nurses. And that's another pipeline that we've tapped into as well, where we're actually supporting them to actually try and see how we can get them to return to practice, but within the UK. And so we've got training programs that we initiate for them to do that. Also, like I said, we're doing additional international recruitment and also collaborative working within the county. So we work very closely with KGH and NGH, which are the two acute trusts within the county. And we're anticipating, obviously, as we continue to do this, our retention will continue to increase. And also we're looking at doing future, you know, explorations around professional development. What else more can we do around the professional development area for our nurses, for them to be able to take higher positions? I count myself as an international nurse. After I trained, I went to Australia and I worked there as an international nurse, and then I've come back here, but I resonate with Zimbabwe being my home country. So, and you know, I'm matron, I'm now a band 8A. I never thought that I would get to this point at all in my career. I mean, I faced lots of challenges, you know, racism, discrimination, you name it. But I also hope that the nurses that we're currently bringing in now will be able to see into the future and aspire to actually get to where I am and even higher as well, within our organisation. So that's it really from us. Is there any other?
I think I just wanted to share some of our achievements, not our achievements, but actually some of our nurses' achievements since they've been here, and they've been nominated for quality awards, and also supporting other nurses, student nurses. They've then gone on to get awards for supporting them. One last one, sorry, David, I know you want to round up, but one of our nurses had the pleasure to meet the King this year at his reception, his birthday reception. And she says to me, she actually sent me a quote the other day to say, this is probably one of the best things she's ever done in her life, and that's because we was able to nominate her to go and represent us as a trust.
So it was actually quite a lot of organisations that, you know, wanted to be nominated, but NHFT, we were one of those that was nominated in the Midlands to have a nurse go and meet the King at his reception. So that's something quite an achievement for us, I think.
Positive, we're very keen to say that there are some local authorities that are equally committed, but there are many that are not. And the simple message is, if you value your people, you will get good results. It's from the very basics, and this is a trust that does that, I know, not only in this field but elsewhere, which makes it possible for you to do this so positively. Angela Hillary's photograph was there, and Christy, the chair. So thank you very much for sharing. I'm sorry you've had a small audience here, but there's a bigger audience on the screen. And I think we would like to thank you all for taking the time, but also for being so committed to being basic, humane and humanitarian in your response to people. And surely that's what all of us should be. How could anybody be different?
Hey, last thing, sorry, David. The way we work is a reflection of our Chief Executive Officer. If people go up and look her up, Angela Hillary is our Chief Executive, and actually we you know, actually owe this to her because of the way she is and how she's
recognised as one of the major leaders in the NHS.
in the NHS. Yeah. So yeah, that's all really. Thank you.
Thank you very much.